Hey guys, and welcome to the Magic Multiverse. Today we'll be looking more in depth into the M15 stocks. Basically, this segment I wanted to go a little bit deeper into M15. I know the other one I kind of just looked at stuff like like as a whole kind of combo based, but here I kind of want to look at value. I kind of want to look at what kind of cards you're going to be wanting to get from the M15 set, or like hoping to get and just fill your trade binders with. First, I like to start off with Nisa, World Waker. Now this is a great planeswalker, just absolutely amazing. It's gonna be amazing for green, for mono green. It's gonna be amazing with some of the cards that I'll show you later on in the video. It's good with Master of Waves if you manage to protect Master of Waves and pump up your elemental tokens or your elemental lands. They already have trample, so basically if you can make them bigger, that'd be even more amazing. There's also the specific green card that I didn't throw in the video, but it's still good as well, where you put a token down and that creature where they're both equal to the amount of force you control, the power and toughness, so I think that'd be a good card with this as well. Now, Garruk, Apex Predator, considering the fact this is the second Planeswalker with 4 abilities, and Jace is worth $95, even though he's not necessarily standard playable, there's a ton of ramp, which could make him standard playable. It really just depends on the amount of ramp you have with Sylvan Caryatid and Elvish Mystic. But overall, I think in Commander he's going to be amazing. I think in many formats he's just going to be an amazing card. He has so much to offer. He has so much destruction just with him with Death Touch and destroying target planeswalkers. He's just going to be an amazing card in other formats, and I'm excited to see him as well. That'd be something you'd want to invest in as well. The Chain Veil. This is definitely going to be one of the most ridiculous cards in the M15 set. It's just absolutely insane. It's brand new. It has this new ability that just I haven't never seen from any other artifact, and I just love my artifacts. So this is basically going to be a definite card you want to get. If you manage to get it, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be good in EDH. It's going to be good in Standard. Basically, people are going to want this card, so you're going to want to fill your trade binder with this, and basically just trade for that, or trade for other stuff with this card. Perilous Vault. Now, there's a lot of interesting artifacts that involve destruction or board wipes. This is an interesting artifact because it exiles all the target non-land permanent or all non-land permanents, which basically gets by. It gets by the avatar, Soul of New Phyrexia. It gets past the indestructibility. Great card. Uh, I'm not sure how good it'll necessarily be in standard if you ever need a board wipe this much, but it's definitely good for EDH. It's going to be exciting to watch. I'm probably going to get one of those as well. Now, Soul of New Phyrexia is the other card. This is probably the best soul, like without a doubt, the best soul card. Just the fact that it's an artifact creature, makes it great for artifact decks. For 5 mana, you can make every single one of your creatures indestructible, which is just amazing. Or your permanents, I mean. So basically, if someone's trying to destroy your stuff for 5 mana, you could just pretty much cancel that out. It gets rid of the board wipes. It counters against that. Great card, Trample 6/6 for 6 mana. It reminds me of Wormcoil Engine, but just not just as great, but still an amazing card. Now, Yisan, this reminds me of Birthing Pod. It's not necessarily as good as Birthing Pod because it starts off basically at 1 mana, which is or at one converted mana cost of 1, which is going to be a little slow. But of course, Birthing Pod is worth a ton. This obviously won't be as much as Birthing Pod because it's just not as fast. But it's definitely going to be an interesting card to see in EDH and other formats. It's going to be good to get those combo pieces out early or in the game. It's going to be good to get the Elvish Mystics and Sylvan Caryatid. So basically, this is an interesting card for green. Now, the Polymorphist, basically, this thing is going to be interesting. I know it's blue, but there's also cards like Bile Blight that just make it amazing. Basically, if you have a Temple of a Deceit and 2 islands, you're basically set for this card. You can just make everything 1/1s, and then you just Bile Blight Frogs away. Just a great card. It might not necessarily be worth too much because I don't know. It's good for getting rid of the hexproof creatures. It's good for basically it just goes around hexproof because you target the player, which just makes it that much easier. Just great card as well. Now the Phyrexian Revoker is going to be a very interesting sideboard card. It basically cancels out the Planeswalkers. It can cancel out the Chain Veil. This card is only worth $2 right now, but I can see it going up maybe not too much, but I can see it being very useful for the sideboard. I would definitely recommend getting some of these just because how useful they're going to be. It's going to be a very interesting card to watch in M15. I'm glad they reprinted it. It's great. I'm going to love to have it in my sideboard. I definitely want to get a few copies of these, maybe at least a playset. And now let's move on to Waste Not. Now this is like one of the most interesting cards for black. Black isn't too good. It's not as great as I would like it to be. There's no Doomblade, there's no Murder. I know they have Hero's Downfall from Theros block, but still, Waste Not. Basically, the entire concept of the M15 black is to discard, to make your opponent discard. There's Liliana Vest, there's a ton of discard creatures, there's Waste Not. Just makes it that much more interesting, and Waste Not right now, I believe on pre-sale is $10. So this is basically going to be a very interesting card. Black players are going to want it if they're going to be making discard decks, which they most likely will. I'm basically excited to see this. You're going to definitely want this for a trade binder for black players. Now, Spirit Bonds. This is interesting, especially for white weenie decks, being able to make creatures indestructible simply by sacrificing a spirit, which is quite interesting because whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, you can pay a white and basically just get a spirit. And I'm pretty sure you can use its ability whenever an opponent plays a spell, a creature spell. I didn't necessarily look at the card too much, but just a great card. It's definitely good for white weenie, definitely good for making stuff indestructible, basically getting past destructive spells. Very interesting card. I'm going to love to see this. It has interesting art, amazing art actually. And let's move on to the Crucible of Fire. Now basically here, I try to look for a red card. It was very difficult to find a good red card that I thought would be a very interesting card that you should invest in. Crucible of Fire is probably the best one. There's a ton of tiny dragons that will just get pumped up even more with the Crucible of Fire card. Khans of Tarkir is coming out, so you're definitely going to want this to be able to pump up those dragons that will be soon coming out. This is great for 4 mana, being able to pump up your dragons just a little bit much. But even they have a fire breathing, so it's just going to be great. I definitely want to see this card being used a lot in Khans of Tarkir block, and I'm excited for it. Now for green, I liked Chord of Calling. Now this card is worth a lot anyways, but just the fact they reprinted it in M15 just makes it that much better. With Nissa Worldwaker, it's just going to be an amazing card, allowing you to just pump up that X. It's going to be great. You're going to be able to look for a gigantic creature. It has Convoke, which makes it even better. And you can tap out either Elvish Mystics for Convoke, or just to pay them. It's to pay the Chord of Calling converted mana cost, which is going to be great. It's going to be a very interesting card to see. I'm glad they reprinted it. It's a very good new card. Now Genesis Hydra. Genesis Wave is basically, I believe, is where they got the origin of this card. Genesis Wave is currently worth about $5. But notice this one, it's a green cheaper, I believe, and then it's also a creature. It's a Hydra. So you basically get a gigantic Hydra, and it comes with a ton of +1/+1 counters on it, and you get to you get to reveal the cards from your library and pick out a gigantic creature. This is going to be a great card. It's going to be very big. It's going to be great with Nissa as well. All of the cards basically that I've shown you are going to be amazing with Nissa. So you definitely want to get her, and you definitely want to get these to pair with her. They're going to be amazing, especially in your trade binder, just being able to trade them. Now for EDH, I think Sliver Hive Lord is going to be amazing. The other Sliver commanders aren't too great, but this one just probably tops it all off, making all your slivers indestructible, which I noticed none of the other slivers have the ability to do that. Basically, this is just going to be a great commander. Sliver Queen doesn't match up to, it just doesn't pair up to Sliver Hive Lord. This card is probably 2 times better. Just being able to give indestructibility to your slivers, making them not die. That's just going to be great. It gets past board wipes. It's just amazing. So that's it for this video, guys. Basically, all these cards would be cards I'd take into consideration. Maybe not necessarily like the EDH cards, but definitely Nissa. You definitely want the Chord of Calling, definitely the Genesis Hydra. Cards like that, basically the stuff that is definitely standard playable that people are going to request a lot. That's exactly what you want. Especially Crucible of Fire might not be worth much whenever M15 is released, but in Khans of Tarkir block, being able to pump up those new dragons that are going to be coming out, it's just going to be a great card to have. You're going to be grateful you got it. It's probably going to be worth not too much money. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be worth much whenever it's first printed. Same with a lot of these cards. I mean, Soul of New Phyrexia is only like $7, I believe, so that's going to be a great card for Commander. Great for Standard as well, 6/6 Trample.